Log on, tune in, find out. Another good idea from Cambridge.
Please.
So, just a second. Yes. Okay, so let me as a start recall the plane and where we stopped last time. So there was an introductory chapter. Then we had looked at the mean field limit, quite quick, no full proof, it was only formal heuristic and computations. And then we took a quick look at the Vlasov-Poisson equation, main structural properties, and some theorems about the Cauchy problem. And now, last course we were looking quite in detail at the linear Landau damping computation. Okay, and if you remember, there was free transport, apart from free transport, how to linearize the equation, how to solve the linearized equation in semi-explicit form, not fully explicit, but and the mode study. And then we were just at this part. We arrive at Penrose stability criterion. Okay, this is the part I will speak about now. So to refresh your mind a bit, let me recall to you the main conclusions of last course. I'm looking at the free transport equation in a torus, so it's confined. And then we had observed a phase mixing property which can be expressed, that's a way to express it, in the following form. So remember, tilde is the Fourier transform in both variables. K is the Fourier variable of x, it's discrete, since x is in the torus. And eta is the Fourier variable of v, and it's continuous. And the Fourier transform of f at time t is controlled in explicit way, have a control of this form. Lambda plus, eta plus kt, where this is related, this lambda is related to the analyticity of initial data f initial in the second variable, in variable v. Okay, and then from this is what I call a phase mixing estimate, and from this, if you look at the eta 0 mode, you obtain the frequencies of the density which satisfies this estimate. Let's write it like this for positive time. It will be damped also for negative time, but it is very natural to write it like this. And of course we write, it is meaningful only for k different than 0. For k equals 0, it is preserved. The 0 mode of the density just means the average of the full distribution. So that's it, and it means that the electric field, which is a convolution, a gradient of a convolution with rho, goes to 0. Okay, because this electric field doesn't see the 0 mode because of the gradient, and so if all the other modes are damped, and k is always says greater than 1 in modulus because we are on ZD, then we get the damping of the electric field, which is what we will call the Landau damping phenomenon. Second thing we had observed, this is very simple. Now if we go to a linearization around some homogeneous equilibrium, homogeneous equilibrium means it creates no force because of global neutrality. We had discussed this point. Then we end up with the following linearized equation. And on this equation, remember we can give some solution using Duhamel along free transport plus Fourier plus integrate against V. Remember with these three ingredients, we end up with a closed equation of this form. So here I will write it explicitly. Let's call this a k of t plus an integral with a kernel. So big K index small k, t minus tau and rho to k. So we have a series of Volterra equations. Closed equation, closed integral equation on each frequency of the density. So this is really the key, one of the key observations in Landau paper, which was known also by Vlasov. And now let's resume. We stopped at this point. If you interpret this equation as a Volterra equation of this form, forget for a moment all the indices, dependencies, and so on. And consider the following question. We want to know if, assuming some exponential decay on A and assuming some exponential decay on K, we can deduce some exponential decay on phi. And the lemma was the following. So remember this. If it helps, you can interpret as a convolution in time if you extend by 0 for negative time. And we had proved the following lemma under the three following conditions. Decay with some lambda k constant for the kernel. The source term, initial source term decays with some lambda a constant. Okay, supposed to be positive, of course. And last point, well, maybe it was written with another order. Don't mind about this. We ask the Laplace transform of the kernel to avoid 1 greater than some kappa in a strip of real part of psi to be between 0 and big lambda. Okay, this recall that it means okay, that's the complex value of Laplace transform. And the conclusion was the decay of phi. I give a slightly more precise treatment. You can keep track in a linear way of the alpha here, if you're careful in the estimates we have done. Sorry, you get a lambda prime And this you can prove, of course the constant will be explicit but deteriorates. You can prove for any lambda prime less than the minimum of lambda A, lambda K, and this big lambda. Okay, so now we will use this. Remember that key discovery of lambda is this big lambda. This is really the a limit on the rate which is given by the shape of the stationary solution. Yeah, let me also recall that this big K index small k is related to the stationary solution F0 of V, and this is related, the A is related to the initial data. So that's a regularity condition on the stationary state F0, a regularity condition on the initial data, but that is a shape condition. And this is saying that you want to avoid the pole of the dispersion relation.
Yes. There's a question I would, so the conclusion of the lemma is also true simply if k is in 1, no? Because you just apply Gronow inequality.
Oh, yeah. You mean for, you don't need so much regularity. Yes, yes, clearly. I agree. I won't do this now, but you could have things decaying not so fast and you pay it in the end in the conclusion. You could make variant of this. In fact, well, since well, you could make a lot of variants. We will use this form because we need really analyticity exponential decay in the nonlinear theorem. But the linear theorem, you could give statements with much lower regularity and with worse decay. Maybe that's your question. Because you don't forget the decay of k is related to the regularity of F0. So that means, in fact, you go to lower regularity.
And once again, what will be phi of t after that? Will be rho and the,
yes.
or the Fourier transform?
Yes.
Rho r.
This is phi of t.
That will be fine.
Yes. I rewrite just this equation in the abstract form, which is above.
It's not rho, it's rho at the point.
Yes, exactly. It's rho hat at a frequency k, and you want to show that this frequency is damped. That is really extremely close to what Landau did. And that's why he was calling in his paper the damping of spatial waves. He was studying each frequency and he was studying the damping. And now, what we shall do is this is not really a solution to the problem. We would like to relate point A, point I, 2i, 3i's to some condition on F0 and the initial data. Okay, so remember what we aim to show. We would like to show the following. For any frequency is non-zero, any xi with real parts between some L, lambda L, like Landau rate, times xi, times k, sorry. We would like to show that the kernel corresponding to the frequency k, Laplace transformed, avoid 1. Okay, why is it so? Remember, we want to show a rate which is proportional to the frequency. So we want to apply this with a big lambda, which is my lambda L times modulus of k. Okay, so this big lambda will be this. And we will be able to do this because the damping improves as k becomes bigger, larger. So I will do the computation with the following simplification that you can relax in the end. Let's do in dimension 1. And I also assume that my initial state is symmetric. My stationary state is symmetric, sorry. This could be relaxed. I mean, you could give a condition without this. And now, so k lives in Z. And now we shall compute, so the kernel at the frequency k, Laplace transformed and taken as the following complex number, lambda minus I omega. Be careful, omega is not a unit vector, it's really just the imaginary part, times modulus of k. What I'm doing now is more or less to rescale all my complex number by modulus of k. Okay, so it's quite natural to study this. From the definition of the Laplace transform, this minus becomes plus, don't forget there is a conjugate, and we obtain by definition this integral now I make explicit what is the kernel. So I have not written it, maybe it's good to keep track of it. My kernel for each frequency is defined by minus 4 pi to the square W Fourier and F0 Fourier transform at kt, and there is, sorry, the factor k square t. Okay, remember the formula was in the previous course. And W is just the interaction potential which is here. So I just make this computation explicit. I have a time integral, then I make explicit what is the Fourier transform of f. I use the symmetry of f to write it like this. There is a v as well. There is the previous phase function. I have my both integrals, and then I do an integration by part. Sorry, I forgot some factor, which is k square to the multiplied by t. I make an integration by part here with this phase, which brings the derivative on f0, but which kills a factor 2i pi kt. So I get with a plus the following term, still the time integral, the v integral, and then still those two phases. And now I'm remaining with just modulus of k, and then I solve this integration. I compute the time integration of the exponential function. Okay, in fact, what I'm doing is the complex Laplace of the exponential function. Well, you have to compute it on part of the plane where it converges, and then use complex variables argument, but well, everything is well defined. I will try to go as fast as possible to the end of this computation, because the result is quite interesting to connect with usual stability condition. So still you have, now you still have the v integration, you have the f0 prime of v, and you can check that this time integration gives to you dv over, so you have to be careful. You make the integration first, and you have not to forget the 2i pi factor, which I cancel out with the term coming from the integration, and I obtain v minus w omega, sorry, plus I lambda. So I get a Cauchy type of Cauchy, a sort of Cauchy transform. Now we would like to, still don't forget the goal, which is written just here. We want to show that this quantity does not approach 1.
It's not the usual way to say the Penrose criterion. Usually Penrose says it's stable. I mean, it gives conditions under which the eigenvalue is real part less or bigger than 0.
Ah, yes.
You have that.
Yeah, I will come to this.
You'll come to that.
Sure, because,
Okay.
yes.
I don't see the connection.
Yeah. Well, we have followed another path, but in the end it connects exactly to the same formula.
Okay.
Fortunately, yes.
Yes. Right.
Okay, so first observe that if we have some good decay on our stationary state, the derivative of our stationary state, and of course we always assume much stronger decay than this in any way, then we deduce that our Laplace transform with all these parameters is going to 0 when omega goes to infinity. Okay, so first, and it could be made uniform in lambda. So first we compactify the problem in omega. We restrict to omega in a bounded set. Okay, it will never approach 1 if it is going to 0. So we first restrict to a bounded set the search for. Remember, we search for cancellation of this function. If this function goes to 0, of course, it will never approach 1. So we first compactify the problem here. In fact, you could do the same for the frequencies, because the term which is in factor of everybody is W hat k is also going to 0 for large k frequencies. We could also compactify this. And then the point is the following. I'm sketching some argument. You have a bit of work to make all the justifications, but these are the key ideas, quite detailed. The goal will be to show that in the limit lambda goes to 0 plus, we want to show that condition is okay. And then we will argue by continuity to say that the condition will still hold for some small open set of this form. Okay, that's the idea. So let's focus on the limits. So in this limit, to do the limit, we shall rely on I don't know how to pronounce, so maybe I just write it, this formula, Clémelge, which shows the following, the idea of Clémelge formula, which is quite classical, I think, in plasma physics. I mean, the use of this formula is that when you do the limit, the formula it is that you replace in your integral this term by some principal value and this imaginary part term with the Dirac mass. Okay, so in our case, this means the following. This means we obtain two terms. The principal value of this integral minus some imaginary part term like this, and let's call this z of k omega. Okay, and now we will see the discussion of Penrose. So let's do the discussion. Of course, the question is still to know whether or not this z function approach 1 or not. So, first is, of course, if z approaches 1, then it implies that its imaginary part approaches 0, of course. So look, we have compactified the problem in omega and k, so the only way for this term to go to 0, this will never cancel for a finite number of frequencies. The only possibilities is to be at a pole at a 0 of S0 prime. So only solution is to be at some omega such that S0 prime of omega is 0. So then Penrose stability sufficient criterion is the following. You say every time this is 0, this is satisfied, the criteria is the following. For any omega such that the derivative of f0 is 0, then, and any frequencies in our compactified domain, okay, here it means this, but out of it it's also satisfied. Let me remove it also satisfied everywhere if you want, because of this going to 0. Then we have this condition. Then if it is true everywhere, the end of the argument goes like this. You say, well, there is a maximum thing which is strictly less than 1, and you obtain a minimal kappa, if you remember the kappa in my statement, so that you never approach 1. So this is really what I call in this course the Penrose criteria. So let me make some remarks. I have tried to present to you really the core of the argument and to simplify everything which is non-essential. I've not searched for any optimality in any way, but well, you could relax the symmetry here, keeping track more precisely in the computation of your sine of k. It just means a bit more intricate computations. Second thing, you could go to multi-dimension. Just noticing the following. I won't do the full computation, but just want to emphasize. Then z belongs to k, belongs to zd. So you take a non-zero k, and then observe that your kernel at frequency k, Laplace transform, at some complex number xi, then means the following. Sorry, w hat at k. You still have the time integration. You still have the v integration when you unfold what is the Fourier transform of f0. And the v integration, I want to write it like this. I make an orthogonal decomposition of the space between the part which is along the case direction times the scalar r and the orthogonal part. Let's call this k hat, okay, as it is quite classical to do this. That's just a unit vector directing k. And here, let's call it u. Okay, let's try u in the orthogonal space. And then I can integrate the part u and get out the part r. Here I just integrate the orthogonal in the orthogonal space, so it's a d-1 dimensional integral, because the phase, let me remove this, sorry, to have more space, because then it is multiplied by phases, Fourier phases, which do not depend anymore on the orthogonal part. Because this is, you have a scalar product with k, between v and k, so you retain only this component, and then the other one was not depending in any case of this. Okay, so the idea then is very simple. Call f sigma of r to be the marginal in the direction sigma. Okay, it's a one-dimensional marginal of your solution. Then you have a generalization of Penrose criterion by, let's say, a generalized criterion by just plugging. By plugging what? You plug f marginal in the direction k hat instead of f. So now comes the most important thing. Let us discuss some key examples. So, of course, the Newton and Coulomb interactions. So first one, let's begin with Newton interaction. In my convention so far, it means that my w hat of k is equal to minus 1 over k square. And then consider, let's say, let's consider first we want a stationary solution f0 which has this nice monotonicity property. So it will have only one cancellation of the derivative at 0. And to give you more precise formula, let's take f0 to be a Gaussian. Just here, because I want to relate to known formula. So rho 0 times the square root of beta over 2 pi, beta which is usual notation for the inverse of a temperature, exponential minus beta v square over 2. Here I do the example in dimension 1, okay? Just to show you this, the Jeans length. I want to show you the Jeans length. And then you obtain the condition 1 over k square, the modulus of the integral, because the integral is everywhere. Where is it? It's here. You see, the only point where you have to check everything is when omega is 0. And then you have an integral which is always negative. The integrand is everywhere negative. You see, because this is negative for negative v, and this is positive, oh sorry, the converse, positive for negative v and negative for positive v. So you divide by v and you get something which the integrand is always negative. So you multiply by something negative, so you get this condition. So that's a threshold, and if you make computation explicit, you obtain, for instance, beta less than 1 over rho 0. And if you want to write it differently, for t to be the inverse, the 1 over beta, if you fix the temperature and now you make vary something I had kept fixed so far, which is the size of my box. Okay, so I have told you that I would at some point show you dependency on the size, so here is it. So if you make the size of the box vary, again, size of the box intervene in the Fourier transform of W. Okay, and then you obtain, because it's a Fourier on the torus, and then you obtain that L for the stability criterion to hold is less than Lj, which is given by pi t over the gravitational constant g rho 0, and this is what is called the Jeans length. And this computation agrees, at least qualitatively, but even in terms of the formula, with what you can find in Binet-Tremen books of astrophysics.
Something I don't understand. I thought that when F naught is monotone, then it's always stable. But you have some different kind of stability you're talking about.
Be careful, it's attractive interactions. It's gravitational.
Oh, you mean, gravity.
Sorry, I will precisely show in a minute what you say. For plasma, it's always stable with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so second example, let's go to Coulomb interaction. Well, and something I'm not expert at all, but I have read these kind of things. It is above this length, there's supposed to be an instability collapsing mechanism. And this length, there are many debates in the physics literature to compare it with the distances between galaxies, for instance. But I just can tell you that it's much more subtle than this physically, because you can be above this length without collapsing. You know, there are you can stay frozen above the temperature. I mean, imagine this kind of complicated phase transmission mechanism. But at least this is qualitatively what is called Jeans length and Jeans instability mechanism in astrophysics books. Second example with the Coulomb interaction, the one which was studied by Landau. And then, with my convention, my W hat of k is equal to plus 1 over k square. And then you see a beautiful criterion which is already implicit in the paper of Landau, which is the following. If F0 is anything like this, okay, same monotonicity, so F0 prime negative for positive v and positive for negative v, then the integral is everywhere negative. You multiply by something positive, and then you obtain I forgot to say the only maximum is here again. you have to check only for omega equals 0, and then this is less than 0. And if it's less than 0, of course it's always less than 1. So you obtain stability at all scales. And then something worth to say is that you can perturbate a bit around these situations, but not too much. I mean, the not too much is a source of very fascinating open problems. We have not worked on how instability can develop with Cedric, but just to say these conditions are robust, so you can perturbate a bit. So imagine for a fixed size of box, you start with something like this, and then you modify, you put a second bump here, small second bump. If it's really, really small, then you still will have a sort of neighborhood around the stability criterion, and at some point, it will break the stability criterion. And then you have instability mechanism that are studied to know what's happening next. So just to say also, this is important to say that we have a perturbative assumption in the theorem I will probably state in the next hour. But this perturbative assumption is absolutely natural. It is not believed that Landau damping holds for any initial data without perturbative assumption. Because then and some instability mechanism take over. You can imagine instability like to say you begin to see oscillations in your plasma, electrons, or doing ping pong one with the other if you want, because of the repulsive force. That's a way to intuitively see this kind of infinite oscillation developing. This I have said. Well, and maybe just to conclude with this simple computation, for the multidimensional case, I have shown you this how to, let's say, generalize the computation I have shown you. You just have to express everything on the one-dimensional marginal, defined like this. So if you're in the plasma case, in Coulomb case, well, you can check in detail, but the conclusion is very simple, is that in the plasma case, you will have to check this for all the marginals, all the one-dimensional marginals. And so a sufficient condition is that for any sigma unit vector, you have that the one-dimensional marginal f sigma of R satisfies the monotonicity condition, which is derivative is positive for negative R and negative for positive R. I just wrote the same condition, the same one-dimensional condition, but on the marginals. And to show you that this condition is quite efficient, compute that you can check that if you take F0 radially symmetric, positive and so on, a good candidate for a stationary solution. Then, and the dimension is at least 3, then if you look at this kind of integrals which are obtained from F, you see in the radially symmetric case, the one-dimensional marginal can be rewritten like this. It's just the modulus inside. In the argument, here I just put the modulus of an orthogonal decomposition. And then Then you can just to show to you that it applies to a quite large class of interesting stationary solution. Then you can compute that f prime of v is minus 2 pi v f of modulus of v in dimension 3, and f prime of v, phi prime of v, sorry, is minus d minus 3 v integral over r to the d minus 1 of f0 v square plus omega square d omega over omega square. Okay, so these are just algebraic formal computations, but they show you that the good sign condition is satisfied. You see, it's rather general, this condition on the marginals. And maybe, tell me, Jose, should I stop here or still? Okay, just after the break, I will show you that once you have proved on under the Penrose criterion that your linearized Vazov-Poisson has a damping force field, you can then study the asymptotic of the whole distribution. The whole distribution H. Remember that we have worked only on rho so far, and now we go back to H. Should I write all A double L or W-H-O-L-E? Well, I don't know. The complete distribution?
The whole, with the W.
With the W, okay. Okay, like this. So then we do this just after the break.
So we resume basically at 3:15, okay?